Hour of the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Good to have you on board. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you very much. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. If you're listening on 93.3 FM, driving about town in Tallahassee, well, good. We appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And if you're watching on Warchant TV on YouTube there, we appreciate that as well. So thanks for doing that. We have just this hour to go, and then we are on our way back to Tallahassee in studio tomorrow. Going to be good to be home, but going to miss this place, that's for sure. Going to miss the fun we've had thanks to our friends at aboveandbeyondvr.com. If you check it out, you'll see the 30-plus owned properties that they have that you could rent out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, day or two, whatever it might be. JCS is the code, 15% off. Hey, so Ira wrote the piece, and I do want to read the quote because it cracks me up, and it is bold, and it was bold back then. But in the wake of what we've learned, boy, this is something to be able to revisit. I imagine if I'm Peter Collins, I look back at that quote that's in print on warchant.com today and think, I did indeed get it right, and my pants shall be unbuckled. He was Peter Collins. You were a part of this show, I do believe, at the time that it happened.
This is the grant of rights quote.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him the question.
Well, it's absolutely glorious. His answer is, in terms of clarification, we have a very good handle on the grant of rights. That, of course, was a bold statement. We had all pointed to the many articles that had been written previous about it being ironclad, the grant of rights. Of course, my shirt to be worn in the future, not so ironclad. It's what's been born of all of this, and it will be a lot of fun. But that live town hall discussion that we're referencing that is quoted in this article today on warchant.com allows you to go back and look at the rest of the quotes. When I say we have a handle on the grant of rights, said Collins, we understand the document very well. That was in August of 2023, as you'll recall.
Yeah.
We understand our position on that document. We understand the legal argument in that document. We understand who the parties would be under that document. And we believe we have a very good handle on what our risks are under that document and what our opportunities are under that document. That's the least of my worries based on what we know. We understand it. We've gotten a lot of counsel on that document. That will not be the document that keeps us from taking action. And I'll leave it at that. It's called throwing it on the table. Now, you better be right.
Yeah, right.
You had better be right, because that is the strong language that everybody refers to that pisses people off in the triangle, that many lawyers also said, well, I don't know if I'd have gone that far, but he did.
I'm telling you, I remember being in my office and recording that particular interview, and it was a live town hall too. So there's no takebacks, and you understand the stakes of it. Like, I didn't know that it would be prescient for today or how it all shakes out. But you also know you've conducted some high-profile interviews and been a guest or an expert for one very, very high-profile one on ESPN, breaking news. Every word matters. How you even ask a question matters. What is said today is going to be important because you're going to be defined by this. And so the question that I asked Peter in that situation was based upon something he said in the Board of Trustees meeting. And I said, you were quoted as saying this. Do you want to address that at all? And basically, you don't know what he's going to do. I can tell you that while I believe that it's impossible and all that was scripted, this was not. I didn't know where he was going to go, because you would think, well, you don't poo-poo it, but you slow it down and you qualify what you were saying.
You take a step back a little bit.
You qualify, you explain, you hedge a little bit. He didn't, man. He didn't. And that was a fascinating thing. And he was right to. He's been quoted as saying, he's been quoted as saying things like, you got to fight the fights that matter. And clearly he was all in on this one.
Well, if you think about it, he had to have known in that moment they were going to proceed. So this decision had already been made. And in fact, 4 months after that town hall discussion, Florida State filed its lawsuit against the ACC in December of 2023. And they asked at that time that the court declare, that the grant of rights be ruled unenforceable. And then, of course, the ACC responded to that and was livid.
Yep.
And in fact, in Ira's story, he points it out. Their rebuke reads, all ACC members, including Florida State, willingly and knowingly re-signed the current grant of rights in 2016, which is wholly enforceable and binding through 2036. Each university has benefited from the agreement, receiving millions of dollars in revenue, and neither Florida State nor any other institution has ever challenged its legitimacy. We are confident that the grant of rights, which has been honored by all other universities who signed similar agreements, will be affirmed by the courts, and the conference's legal counsel will vigorously enforce the agreement in the best interest of the ACC's current and incoming members. So war was declared.
It was. And I just remember so many people looking at that statement and taking that statement as their rallying cry on the other side opposite of Florida State. Yeah, there it is. See?
Right.
Clear as day, ironclad, whatever term that you wanted to use. Columns were written, podcasts and interviews were recorded, video segments were had, where everybody said, Florida State is in la-la land. And I'm not going to say that I totally agreed with the ACC side, but I will say, like, man, you better be right. You better be right, because they're speaking in definitives, and so are you. Somebody's going to be definitely wrong and right on this. It wasn't ACC's hedging and saying, well, we think this is enforceable. They're saying you signed it. Peter Collins is saying it ain't going to stop us. Okay, well, these are two very declarative statements that are totally at odds, and here we are today, and we know who was more correct than the other.
It's also why you do a summary piece like Ira did, warchant.com. I'm just quoting and taking excerpts from it. You can read the whole thing over at warchant.com. Ira did a good job of documenting the moment in time that this all began, the fight, when it was laid bare and what was at stake, and, you know, point, counterpoint, and everything in between. But I would note, and he rightfully does at the end in summary, I mean, we've been doing this all week, but it just to put it in cold, hard terms, the cost of leaving the ACC this year is going to be $165 million if you did it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, FSU will be receiving $15 to $20 million more per year from the ACC's television contract, all right? So you're making, based on that lawsuit, fast forward to where we are at the beginning of this week and then agreed to yesterday with the settlement. Florida State asked for a lot more money because of their brand, what they provide this conference, what they are, what they represent for this conference. They were told no, repeatedly scoffed at, made fun of. They were the subject of ridicule. They are now getting 15 to 20 mil just for being FSU.
Right.
The sum of money could be even greater than that if they bother to act like FSU on the football field, okay, and basketball court. Well, mainly the football field. But anyhow, the point would be they're going to make even more than that. The other schools who scoffed, rebuked with anger, they now have to take a haircut of $7 million per to give to FSU and Clemson.
Right.
Okay, as I've talked about before in this hour. So all of that matters. Now, that would go towards leaving if you wanted it to. The exit fee drops $18 million every year. So that number gets reduced significantly year over year. And oh, by the way, the grant of rights ends up having no bearing on any of the costs, and any ACC school, not just Florida State, any ACC school can leave and take their media rights with them. The very definition of not ironclad.
No.
The very definition.
Right. And this won't be the document that stops us. Yeah. Correct. Also, kudos to the legal team. And those are some people that deserve a lot of credit today. Yes, outside counsel that Florida State has hired, but also Carolyn Egan and the staff at Florida State, who I'm sure have paper cuts galore from going through all of the documents over the years, or traveling up to the league office to get on the elevator with the double key turn so they can get into the airtight clean room that has
the lasers.
Right, exactly. Ducking through the lasers and you know, abiding by the 10-minute hourglass that they set on the table that you can take a look at this thing that's behind closed doors with the grant of rights provisions. The man and woman hours that were put into getting to today, yes, the people who are going to take the victory lap, and rightly should take the victory lap, are, in the grand scheme, in the analogy, these are the coaches. These are the general managers, right? That's what Peter Collins is. That's what Michael Alford is. That's what President McCullough is. But then the players who helped win that championship are the Carolyn Egans of the world, other trustees who were doing some mining, maybe some other university liaisons who were asking, hey, what's their temperature on this? That help you with the negotiation. And then also the entire legal team that worked underneath them and the outside counsel that was hired. They were able to form a compelling enough argument. And the officials in this particular analogy, Judge Cooper, among others in the state of Florida, Florida Supreme Court, you put enough things together to where you got them to believe that it wasn't ironclad. You got them to admit it wasn't ironclad. You got them to fork over money that it's not ironclad. It's just, every time I say that, the more I realize how powerful a moment this is for Florida State. That's unbelievable. What a win.
Again, I will reiterate over and over again that Duke, Wake Forest, Boston College, Syracuse signed up, agreed to taking less money and finance Florida State and Clemson's eventual departure.
That's right.
That's what they did yesterday.
Yeah, they'll get some ROI on it, but it won't be dollar for dollar.
No.
Yeah.
They had to concede and acquiesce to giving over more money to the school that just absolutely screwed them to leave. Mm-hmm. And look, and I say that from the vantage point of them. If I'm thinking of it from their standpoint, they're like, really?
Yeah, because if you're structuring your finances through 2036 and assuming that you're going to be getting a payout, you might actually earn, if we exit soon and Clemson exits soon, North Carolina, you might actually earn, and you probably will earn, more between now and the next 5 years than you were going to, because these exit fees are going to be distributed amongst all of you.
Yeah.
And you're still going to get the TV revenue. And yeah, you take a $7 million haircut, but you're actually going to make a whole lot of money on the exit fees as they're distributed to these member institutions. Okay. So you might, yes. But then, when you look at the books and you have these projections for 2031 and 32 and 33 and 30, man, those have been completely obliterated. Those are totally gone.
Yeah, I again, the fallout from this as the hours go by, you're starting to see the sinking realization. I listened to Mark Packer do an interview yesterday in which he said, basically, it was funny. Listen, Mark's in an impossible situation when he comes on a show to do an interview.
Woof.
He's supposed to be the voice of and the face of the ACC on their network. And Mark Packer has a rich history in the Triangle within the ACC. He is a walking historian of the league. His dad was a legend of a broadcaster. So I'm not disparaging Mark Packer in this way. But you could hear it in his voice in the interview that I listened to. He recognized that, look, I mean, there's no nice way to say this, that FSU and Clemson pretty much got what they wanted, and the ACC gets to survive. That was the crux of what he said was the win for the ACC, was they get to live.
Yeah.
For a few more years. They get to live. I would frame it this way. They get to live and figure out their next move while raking in a bunch of money. I mean, they did get that, if you're going to take the other side for a second.
Yeah, you could be the Pac-12 and be totally dismantled.
You don't exist.
And you might have the same banner that you're going to fly, but it ain't the same. Or you could be, what the Big 12 is now. That's not the same as it was with Texas and Oklahoma.
Of course not, no. The Big 12 has pivoted the best. I think the next big step for Jim is to do what we've talked about a lot.
Right.
I think you get on the horn with the Big 12.
Correct. And I think that's the scary thing here for them, is that banner of the ACC might actually disappear. Like you might find homes for all these schools, but you might need to rename it. I mean, if you merge with the Big 12, you can't be called the Atlantic Coast Conference. You got Plain States teams. You got teams in the mountains out west.
Yeah.
You can't be called the Atlantic Coast Conference. So that the idea of the ACC, the name, the brand, could well be dead in 4 or 5 years. But I think Jim played out the hand. I wouldn't give him an F. You know what I mean? I don't know that I'm giving him an A+, but I'm not giving Jim an F for his 10. This has been a mess for him to handle. And he was never operating from a position of power, even before Texas and Oklahoma got poached, even before UCLA and USC, wrong order I'm saying them, got poached. He was not operating from a position of power. So the idea was to salvage as much as you could, and he's kind of done that.
If you're Jim and you contact the Big 12, who are you bringing with you? Like, who still stands now that everybody knows the number? Right. Everybody now has a number. And they can be free to fight on their behalf over the next several years to try to align themselves with the Big Ten or the SEC. And we know some schools obviously have the upper hand, with that Florida State being chief amongst them, along with Clemson. We know they're not going to be in the ACC, but North Carolina presumably is gone. They've been wanted by the Big Ten for a long time, and the SEC. Louisville, the same, we think, will fight like hell to get the hell up out of here. Georgia Tech will try to position themselves.
Virginia
Will do the same. I don't know. I don't know who you're bringing with you. Notre Dame's never going to give up their independence. So anyhow, bottom line is you'll have to call the Big 12 and say, might SMU, yes, be interesting to you? Sure. Will NC State be interesting to you? Yes. Would Virginia Tech be interesting to you? Yes. Would Syracuse be interested for you? I suppose. Pitt, would they be interested in you? Yes. And then you marry that with the Big 12 teams, and you have a Utah, you have a UCF, as you've pointed out. You have a Colorado, a BYU, an Arizona State, an Arizona. I don't know. There's enough there to make that a fairly decent and interesting league.
Interesting,
as you know. Yep. And you hope, by the way, that SMU thing is not nothing. So,
man, I'm telling you, if I was the Big Ten, I'd actually start having conversations. It might not be a fit. Maybe it's not.
What, with SMU?
You want Dallas? You want Texas? You're giving me an opportunity to get, and look, they're willing to take nothing. Maybe they'll take nothing with me.
I don't even know. I'd have to look at what SMU's deal was.
Can SMU just leave the ACC?
I mean, that's brutal.
Why do we need to pay an exit fee? You're not paying us anything anyway. Can we just leave?
I do wonder, what is their deal? I have to. Well, for the next conversation, we'll have to know what they can and can't do. I mean, that'd be hilarious.
You get Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia, and SMU. Now the Big Ten really does own a whole lot of that
you're saying, yeah. My goodness gracious.
Let's go time.
It's impressive at that point.
I would say you lose to the SEC at that point. You lose. I'm in all those markets anyway. So I'm selling to the same people you are with more inventory.
Well, this is what you're talking about right now. You get the urgency of these two sides kind of looking at each other with a jaundiced eye. Like, you jumping?
Yeah.
Are you about? Yeah, because I agree. Let's hope that the urgency of that conversation leads to really great conversations for us over the next several years, 2 years, maybe next year and a half, something along those lines. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. I'll take liberty in the third hour to kind of go off the beaten path. I do want to thank, and I got to double check, it was on Instagram, so I don't know. Somebody sent me this story because they know how they agitate me, yet I am transfixed by them. I cannot help but read these stories. Of course, Tom, over the years, they've been a hallmark of the Jeff Cameron Show. People finding stuff worth millions of dollars, and they have no discernible expertise within the realm of which they find, and they stumble into something amazing that makes them fabulously wealthy. And I'm always blown away by it. Now, I'm especially blown away by it when it's a sports item. It's a baseball card, or it's a baseball itself that was autographed by Babe Ruth in pristine condition the day he hit it, whatever it might be, right? But I like all of these stories. It's been art. We have found paintings before where they like the frame. They bought it at a garage sale. And they're like, I don't care about this picture of this old man rowing a boat. I'm going to cut that picture out. But when I do, what's this? One of the 3 original handwritten copies of the Declaration of Independence. How about that? How did this get here? Whatever it might be, right? We've seen all that. So I told you last night when we were at dinner about the Fabergé egg.
Yes.
The amount of money it's worth.
That's right. The one thing I would say in this person's defense is this wasn't a $4 purchase at a garage sale. You had to come with it to even procure this egg in the first place.
Yes, but I learned more because last night as I was going to bed, I decided to deep dive into this story. So
here we go.
Here we go. Allow me to. It's a short segment, kids. Here we go. A $14,000 jumble sale turned into millions of dollars for a man who'd been thwarted in his attempts to turn a quick profit by selling the tiny ornament to scrap metal dealers. The man, who hails from the Midwest but wishes to remain anonymous, had been left financially stretched after he apparently overestimated what the tiny golden egg would be worth once it was melted down. He was hoping to make $500. In a fit of desperation one night last year, he typed egg in the name engraved on the clock it contained, Vacheron Constantin, into Google. His search brought up a 2011 article in Britain's Daily Telegraph newspaper describing a frantic search for the object known as the Third Imperial Easter Egg, made by Fabergé for the Russian royal family and estimated to be worth 20 million pounds, the equivalent of $33 million. Far from being a financial millstone around the scrap metal trader's neck, it appeared the golden egg might live up to its fairy tale namesake and avoid the furnace with just a few scratches to assess its gold content. The man contacted Fabergé expert. There's such a thing.
Yeah.
Karen McCarthy flew to London to visit McCarthy's workplace, Warchant Jewelers in Mayfair, where the egg will be displayed to the public for only the second time from April 14th to the 17th. Said at no warning about the visits, the guy walked in wearing jeans, a plaid shirt, and trainers. This is the expert, right? His mouth was dry with fear. He handed me a portfolio of photographs, and there was the egg, the holy grail of art and antiques. Though he had not handed the egg itself over,
Yeah, smart.
he was buzzing from top to toe. He flew to the man's home to see the object in person, confirmed that it was indeed the Third Imperial Egg. Struck gold by accident. Skip down to here. It was one of the missing eggs that had been looked for almost 100 years. It was part of a Russian monarchy. It was part of an overthrow and a revolution and a bunch of other things. I'm really cutting through into the finer details here, getting past some of the minutia, but you can go read more about this. Anyhow, yes, it was confirmed to be the missing egg that had long been searched for. Craftsmanship second to none. Obviously, it's got a lion's paw, feet, and a bunch of other stuff on it. It is unbelievable. It's handcrafted, and indeed, it's worth $33 million. Now, I appreciate the individual who sent it to me. Just to note, that story is 9 years old, but now we're aware of it.
I see. Well, what I would say is I hope that person, if he cashed at, say, 20, after all the fees and all the nonsense and taxes that you had to pay, so you're probably looking at $18-20 million American. Float a little bit to the London Free Press or whatever the publication was that he Google searched and was educated that he might have something on his hands there. Just more than a subscription. Send him a little thank you bonus, because without that article, he doesn't, go
he was trying to
farther.
sell for $500.
That's right. That's right.
This is where Google and the ability to access information globally, instantaneously, really works. Come back, wrap it up. We'll have a lengthy, meaty segment to do so. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
All right, gang, a new sponsor on board here for Warchant, all of the entities that we have here on Warchant TV, and that is Ridge Wallet. If you've seen these on maybe a bar top or a countertop near you, here's why you need to join and go grab yourself a Ridge Wallet. We're going to save you money while you do it. Ridge Wallet holds up to 12 cards, hotel keys, whatever you need, plus cash. It is super light. It is not like my old wallet. I had one of those giant tri-fold leather wallets that ended up starting to tear away at the back pocket in my pants. If I forgot, for example, to take my wallet out when I was playing golf at Capital City, you'd start to get that little tear at the seams because the thing is so damn heavy and bulky. Also, when you're traveling and you're going through security at the airport, it's just another bulky thing that kind of drives you nuts. And until you get something better, you don't realize how much it was inconveniencing you. So that's why when Ridge Wallet said, hey, would you be interested in having a promotion run through Warchant, through the Jeff Cameron show, through Wake Up Warchant, we said, absolutely. And here it is. I got mine. It's bright green. That way I don't miss it. If I set it down on the table, I don't forget it. But it holds up to 12 cards, as I said, and it's super, super light. This is the way right here with Ridge Wallet. You can get up to 40% off at ridge.com/wakeup. That's right. Right now, it's a once-a-year anniversary sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/wakeup. Just head to ridge.com/wakeup, and you can be saving today. All Ridge wallets come with a lifetime warranty. So this is literally the last wallet that you'll ever have to buy. And make sure to give us credit after you purchase and save up to 40%. Let them know at ridge.com that we were the reason you came to buy.
And just like that, it's magic. Hour number 3, Power Hour is now known. Bonus hour. I mean, it's magic that we were just on the water and now we're in the kitchen.
Well, we have been in here for the whole hour. Yes, that's true.
I'm just kidding, everybody. It's still this awesome palatial, I would say, $2, $3, $4 million joint Yeah.
Probably so.
Wouldn't suck to live here, huh? Thanks to our friends at Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals. Yeah, this is the luxury condo still. One of the floors, anyhow. We're on the second floor. Not the third floor. We're on the second floor.
Would you call it the main floor, even though this isn't the floor that gets you to the ground level? Is the ground level floor the main floor?
No, that's the ground level floor.
Okay, so this would be the main floor.
This is the main floor. Yeah, I would say. Now you've got unimaginable for the people that are at home amounts of room and space upstairs. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, and another bathroom plus that bath. Yes, there's a lot.
We could call that the residential floor.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. If you'd like to see it, use code JCS for 15% off. Just go to their website and take advantage of this launch special. It's aboveandbeyondvr.com. And check out all 30-plus properties that they have. And that code works for all of them, by the way, which is really cool. Plus, it's Noles helping Noles. Florida State family owns this and jumped on board the Jeff Cameron Show. It's been a good week, man. Baseball team wins last night. And, of course, Florida State, in essence, topples the ACC this week. What a great week for our new advertisers, Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals, to join us, huh? It's been a great way to showcase what they have and to talk about things that we're all interested in simultaneously, as far as, hey, man, we're here. It's beautiful. And, oh, by the way, the Noles will be rolling up out of here soon.
Yeah, this has been a stressful few days to start this week from the workflow and the breaking news, and because you didn't expect it. At least I didn't. Now, Ira had a tip that it may be going down soonish. And I said, thanks, Ira. Appreciate that. Little heads up, brother. But once you get here and then you're settled – and then the news breaks, you're realizing that you're just getting hit with positivity everywhere. There's a positive breeze as your office is outside on the lanai or the deck. And then there's the positive news that the winds of change are finally coming for Florida State. And you can put a bookmark or what's better yet, the word for it, bookend on Florida State's time in the ACC, which is 2030. Absolute last possible time that Florida State is going to be playing ACC insert sport here. And it could be much sooner that you're out of it, but to know that in 2030, that's it. 2030, 2031 season, we're going to be somewhere else. That is a comforting thought, because that is the latest possible time for Florida State to be out of where we are right now. That's positivity all the way around. Extra work, extra stress, because we got to make sure the board meeting is covered and, all the ducks are in a row and the settlement figures are accurate. That's a good kind of stress. We've been waiting for this for a long time instead of worrying about what Judge Cooper's going to say on a random Wednesday. No disrespect to Judge Cooper.
No, we like Judge Cooper.
Enjoy your retirement, my man. You brought us home.
Yeah, we like Judge Cooper. Yeah, you're right. I got distracted, Tom. I was watching the rain fall on the water and its blinding beauty from this vantage point. I forgot, since today we are pre-recording, that we've been here the whole hour.
It's been, right. Yeah. This has just been,
screwed that up.
It's been a lovely office. It's been a lovely office.
I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. I love my family and I can't wait to see them, but I'd rather transport them down here and stay for another week, to be honest with you. This has been ideal. And, hey, you know what? We'll be back in studio tomorrow. I know I will be. I think Tom's got, we'll see. You may be at the house, but we're going to be live.
Back and forth. I've got a Dominic Robinson recording tomorrow that I'm going to have to work around. And that would be the Gus Malzahn UCF tape. This is something we've been waiting on for a while.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, I am really looking forward to that. You and Dominic have done a great job with that. All these videos, I enjoy watching his breakdowns of what we're going to be looking at, and I am excited to see it. I know, good God, it feels like spring football can't get here soon enough, and we talked about it earlier in the show, the important dates leading up to the actual practices starting. And I really do hope we get to see practice, not just selfishly, like I said, but I'm excited to see it. I want to see it's completely different what we're doing on defense. And it's going to be different. The points of emphasis are going to be different on offense. So this will be fun. Plus, let's just say it. I mean, watching Castellanos, what do we got? What do we got? Because I feel like that's a mixed bag. I've seen the good Castellanos, who was really torturous against us up there, how difficult it was for us to win that game, and the skill set he possesses to make that difficult on a defense that, frankly, you felt like would dominate the day against a quarterback of that ilk, and yet he was fantastic. And remember, in that game, and not talking about the one last year here, We made it very easy on him last year here. He didn't have to do anything special. He's throwing to wide open guys on wheel routes and crossers, and it was ridiculous. The game up there at BC, what really frustrated me, and I understand we got out to a great start, and it was us with a big lead and then holding on for dear life. The version of Castellanos in that game is a version that Florida State could use to win the ACC.
Yeah.
He made throws, Tom. We all look at the legs, and the legs are vital to all this success. We get it. He made big-time throws in that game. Drove me nuts. Yeah. He got confidence through the legs, extended plays, and then started making pinpoint throws. And I went, well, okay, really? This is what we're going to do? If that guy could be that guy more often, look out.
Yeah, I think that there's Castellanos type of play, to me, stereotypically does not seem like the kind of guy that is going to wow you in a practice. He screams game day player to me. Now we'll see in spring camp. Maybe when they go through the individual one-on-one throws and they do the skelly 7-on-7 drills and all this kind of stuff, maybe he shows out there. But to me, I think the only times that you're going to really learn about Castellanos, could be wrong, are those 11-on-11 situations when it's not just that plays break down, but then you're actually in the full flow of 11-on-11 read options, triple options in some instances with Gus, where it's read, keep, throw to the bubble, run, all of those things. That's when he does his damage. I don't know that when we line up and when they do individual drills the first 5 to 6 periods of practice where it's receiver on defensive back and he just sits back there and he throws. I don't know that we're going to walk away from that moment in practice and say, look at this guy.
I don't think we will.
That's not to say that he didn't improve last year. I think O'Brien's offense did him a solid as a passer.
I've said that. He had to get better.
Right. So it made him better for this moment, but I'm trying to think about day-to-day in practice. Yeah, people are going to want to hear about the quarterback. I don't know, wearing a green non-contact jersey and going through 7-on-7s, that's not where he has impact on the game. I wonder if they're going to structure the way that they do those drills differently. Not that you want to ignore the receivers and the defensive backs. Those battles need to take place. But that's not going to be the crux of the offense. The crux of the offense is going to be at the decision point. You know how they did those drills for years with the linebackers and the running backs in pass pro? And it's it's head on head, and here we go. And it might be that you have a couple offensive linemen there as well. Might you be better off with your starting quarterback there on the field, going through those drills with the running backs and the linebackers, than you would be the quarterbacks just working on individual throws? Like, you might just have your backups work in those one-on-ones, because that passing offense is important. But the quarterback is going to have to get very used to read defenders. The quarterback and the running back are going to have to get very used to what the mesh point is like in this offense and working. And it's almost as though that's as important as the old school under center relationship between quarterback and center with snapping the football. There's going to be a lot of keep and give in this offense. So I wonder where they're going to station him in practice.
I think the way that we're going to have to describe the action when we do our post-practice roundups, like me and Ira, me and Corey, Aslan and Ira, Aslan and Corey, usually that's the rotation, and we have sometimes Matt Lasser. But I think, Tom, that's going to probably, if we're out at practice and we have that ability, I think it has to change. And I think it's necessitated by both what we got wrong last year with the difficulty of gauging, a team playing itself our line versus the defensive line, and not really understanding how applicable that is to what other teams have, because we don't see them in practice. Mm-hmm. And then also this being a brand new offense that we're trying to lay eyes on, and brand new way of assessing what that offense is. Like, what's a successful practice with this offense?
Right.
Right. In a typical pro style offense, you know what that looks like.
Well, okay, so for the website side of it, warchant.com, you're reading practice observations. This is the easiest way for me to describe the difference. So if you're reading Ira's observations or Corey's, because those are typically the two guys that are working on the skill side. I'm always on the trench side. You would see one of the two guys write something like, well, they got hot and they went 7 for 7.
Right, yeah.
And they went 7 for 7 in individual throws. They hit, 4 in a row, and then in 7-on-7, they hit 3 in a row. That's not where I'm learning anything. That's not where I'm learning anything. I really want to know in 11-on-11, The ball is snapped. Who pressured the quarterback?
Right.
Did Castellanos make him miss? This is not a quarterback that you're looking like for DJ last year. I know we can all laugh about it now in retrospect. So it was never going to work. Well, it was very important to hear how DJ was doing as a passer day to day, because that's what he was going to be relied upon to do. With Castellanos, that is a byproduct of what he does best. So when we describe these things, I really feel like the observations, the discussions you're having, they're going to be rooted on the 11 on 11. They're going to be rooted in run game drills. It's not going to be about pass game drills. It's going to be about run game drills and O-line versus D-line drills and 11 on 11. So, yeah, the structure by which we describe these things is going to have to be radically different, I think.
And it's a learning curve for us, too. I'm going to be treading lightly in terms of the way that you describe that and how you gauge the success, play to play, series to series, period to period. It's going to be, some things are obvious, but.
Well, okay, with Jordan, there's a little bit of precedent that you can draw upon. There were times in 11 on 11 as Jordan was ascending. This is 2022, probably the best spring and fall camp of 2022.
Yeah, where he would take off and glide for 40.
Right.
And you're like, well, how realistic is that?
Right. But in that sense, you're like, well, that's a headache if he actually decides to do that in the game. He's not afraid of being hit in this moment, but you're like, well, what are you going to do with that? Now, that's one moment of a practice that we would probably bury that as like the seventh note.
Right.
With Castellanos, that's probably the first note.
Because he's going to do that a lot. And he's going to be asked to do that a lot. And there's no way you don't ask that guy to run and run and run some more and do some more running.
Yeah.
I think, because what do you care? This offense, if we're being honest, isn't about grooming somebody to be an NFL quarterback at all.
Right.
At all. Your whole thing is you have to be able to run.
Well, and here's another point. According to the playbook that Dominic Robinson got years ago, this is the Auburn 2013 playbook. Wildcat is part of your base install. It's not something you do, all right, let's install our principles and then let's work in this Wildcat. No, it's part of your base principles. So as we're describing these things, I wonder, are we allowed to discuss that in the open as part of the practice policy? I mean, everybody knows that Gus runs the hell out of Wildcat. Everybody knows that Cam Davis was a quarterback in high school. Wouldn't those two seem like a perfect marriage for the Wildcat under Gus? Are we not allowed to discuss that? Or do we need to write it as Cam Davis had a nice run today instead of Cam Davis out of the Wildcat had a nice run today? But gadget plays, Wildcat, weird formations, reverses, toss passes, double passes, that's all part of the base. So I would imagine that we're going to see a lot of irregularity, at least a lot of non-traditional offense that I don't know how much we can share or not. That's going to be kind of a fascinating give and take should we be allowed to go to practice.
I wonder if that's factored in to what they're going to decide.
It could be.
Again, we're all speculating.
But just think about how different that is from a 10,000-foot view, that the Wildcat is a base part of your offense. For Mike, it was in the beginning of his time here because he was desperate. You needed Jayshon Corbin on 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 and Trayshawn Ward to help get you over the line. And you needed to pull McKenzie or Jordan off the field. But now this is it, man.
Unless it's 4th down and inches, then McKenzie stays out.
That's right.
And tries to bulldoze his way through the line on one leg.
That was a Kenny D special right there. Interesting call. But now it's very much day one. All right, we've just run a couple of little inside zones. Let's get the Wildcat in there. Holy cow. New sheriff's in town, man.
Yeah. Before we sign off, I just want to congratulate Jose Quintana, who's still in the league.
Who do you sign with?
The Brewers.
Really?
Makes me mad.
I was kind of hoping.
You guys let him go to the Brewers.
Yeah. He'll be 380 to 410 ERA, solid.
Well, he'll be good is what he'll be.
He'll have
left-handed starter, a 3 or a 4 starter.
Pitch count issues. He'll be out by, 4 2/3, 5 1/3. But, hey, you need that guy.
Didn't he beat the Brewers in the playoffs?
He did. Oh, yes, he did.
Yes,
it was a little lucky.
But he did.
I was happy that he did. But
he did.
A lot of fortunate contact. Go to the right places.
Right at people. 37 years old, man. That creep can roll. He has been doing it for a long time and has now played for every team in Major League Baseball. I made that up, but it feels like he has.
He's the Arthur Rhodes of the starting pitchers.
It is something. Also, lastly, we learned no hard knocks for North Carolina after all. They pushed back and said, no, we're not doing it. I'm kind of surprised by it and a little bothered by it because I was looking forward to it. If I'm honest, I thought it would have been kind of cool. They decided no. Also, on the front that is random towards the end of a show before we finally start getting into probables, which will be happening soon enough. You like to gamble. I like to gamble. So we bring it to the show. FanDuel, $14 billion in 2024 revenue was revealed. $14 billion. They're the number one sports book still.
Wow.
Definitively leading the market. And
I never thought they would be larger than DraftKings, and here they are.
yeah, Flutter Entertainment, the parent company of FanDuel, said late yesterday that it posted a 14% increase in fourth quarter revenue to $3.8 billion, 19% lift for the entire year to $14.5 billion. Net income swung from losses in 23 and 24, so they're doing really, really well. It further, you think about this, the recent reports in key sports betting locales, New York, Illinois, Jersey, across the states, FanDuel continues to be the clear market leader. Why do I find any of this interesting? Well, I'll tell you, I think it's interesting because I wanted to see who's going to win eventually when this battle started. DraftKings is second.
Yeah, DK was big in Rockaway. I find that
Oh,
interesting.
is that right?
Oh, and DK was awesome. That got me over the hump. Watching Met games and betting on total bases. Oh, man. That was a daily thing to do.
So DraftKings has done very well, and they are clearly the second place betting outlet. And here's what just amazes me. I'm still following this story, and I can't believe how bad ESPN whiffed on this. The struggles with ESPN Bet, well documented.
Formerly Caesars Sportsbook. Yep.
We talked about this. This is going to end the $2 billion partnership between Penn Entertainment and ESPN. It's failed miserably, and they are massively behind, and they promised 20% of the market share by 2027. They're at less than 1% of the market share. So they promised their investors, it's a $60 billion investment, all this. They have this $2 billion year over year, and they say, listen, you're going to want to go all in. Put your chips on in, guys.
Yeah, right.
And don't sell. Hang in there with us. I know the first quarter wasn't good. Second quarter wasn't good. We're going to get you there. Yeah, you're still at less than 1%. You'll never get, by 2027, you're never going to get 20% of the market, and FanDuel continues to grow. We're done here. We are done.
It's well done by FanDuel. Now, FanDuel was the first to spend with us and start spending aggressively on radio back in the day.
They did.
And then DraftKings came in, and it seemed like it was done. Like, DraftKings is going to do FanDuel just better. And DraftKings, I think, still has the cool factor.
And they still are doing very well.
And they are, yes. Yeah, but it's almost as though FanDuel was going to be Pepsi and somehow became Coke. I just find that they're number one. Good on them. Good on them. I've never downloaded them. Maybe I'll save it for when I vacation up north next time.
You can't use them. I mean,
for a promo code. Yeah,
we're stuck. Look, Hard Rock's fine with me. I don't think they have near the options that they need to have.
They don't have to. They know it.
Yeah. Let's get.
It's more expensive to play in terms of the odds that they give you because they don't need to compete for your money.
Now I can also be bought. So Hard Rock, if you'd like to buy the Jeff Cameron Show, I'll say flowery things about you that I'm not saying right about now. But yeah, I mean, damn, man, I would have liked the better odds and the options that go with something like a FanDuel. So be it. And then finally, as we say goodbye, I did want to make mention, and you're going to be surprised I know who he is. Just want to double check the age, make sure I got it right. You saw George Lowe. Died, 67 years of age. He was best known for his incredible voice as Space Ghost.
Oh, Space Ghost.
Lived in Florida, is why I bring it up.
Oh, man.
He had battled health issues for a while. 67 years of age, and he is no more. Best known for his role as, obviously, Space Ghost on the Cartoon Network, later Adult Swim series, if you would.
Yeah, he had two. He had two variety shows, if you will, where he's at his desk. One was decidedly more kid-friendly than the other.
Yeah, the other one was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which he did a voice for, which was awesome, by the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Perfect Hair Forever. He was also in Robot Chicken. He did a lot of things.
His shake sounds just like my late Uncle Sean. What are we doing? I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, so he passed away at the age of 67, and that sucks.
Boy, he was young when he was doing that stuff. He was in his 30s when Space Goes Coast to Coast was popular. How about that?
Yeah. No, he had he did a lot of stuff. I just got done reading. I'm looking at this list. a gazillion shows that he lent his voice to over time. And just, it was so, he ended up being able to, vary it to different characters. But yeah, a ton of these things.
There was an interview that Jim Carrey did on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, right as he was rising, late 90s. And Brack was basically his sidekick.
Right.
And he's saying, I could do a praying mantis. And he goes, go ahead. And Jim Carrey does this physical comedy where he's like,
yeah, and he does praying mantis. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Holy cow.
He could. That's how Jim Carrey got famous originally, with
right.
all the crazy, the arm, the double jointed, the whole thing with the wind.
yeah.
He did all that stuff. It was insane. Anyhow, so wanted to note that.
Damn.
Rest in peace, George Lowe. He was a funny guy, 67 years age. Lived his last days in this great state. All right, that's it. That's all. We're back in studio tomorrow. Thanks to our friends here. This has been great. I just want to reiterate one more time how cool it's been to be down here. Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals has been kind enough to host us these last few days, and we have really, really enjoyed it. We think you will too. This launch, at least of our partnership, lasts throughout the week, and it's where you can get 15% off if you use the code JCS. Again, I would invite you to go to the website, learn more. The website is aboveandbeyondvr.com, aboveandbeyondvr.com. If you want to reach out to Matt and Jen, you can, 727-253-5995 as well, and learn more about their properties and how they might fit your needs. But I do know this, you can avoid the VRBO and the Airbnb middleman fees that really they rack up quickly. Those are huge charges. And so you avoid that just by going straight through them. And with this promo code, you save even more, so 15%. So thanks to them. We really appreciate it. It's been fun. All right, Tommy, I'll see you back in Tallahassee. Until then, peace.